Temp check. What kind of summer are we having this year? A family road trip summer? A beach bum summer? Or a wake me up when the sun sets summer? With Instacart, choose your own adventure and skip the shopping side quests. Where available, you can get ice cream delivered to your hotel, sunscreen to the pool, or cold brew to your bed. Well, door, in as fast as 30 minutes. Wherever you find yourself this summer, you can get the goods. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Somebody please think of the children!
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into things that we've been watching, reading, and playing. I think this week, we're triple threat. I'm Terry.
I'm Mary Beth. And this week we're talking about one of the grossest books that MB has ever read. Adult Friendships Are Hard. Ooh. Kaiju Anime, the best Metroidvania game ever. And then Milton Green, he needs a kidney.
He needs a kidney. He does. He doesn't need a hand. He just needs a kidney.
Oh my god.
All right. Grossest book MB has ever read, and you have read some gnarly stuff. So I'm very curious. What is this?
Yeah. So I was in LA a couple weeks ago and had just like a fucking pain in the ass flight there. It wasn't terrible, but I was like, my second leg of the flight of the journey was on one of those planes that has 3 aisles instead of 2, and I was in the middle aisle in the middle seat, and it was just like super uncomfortable, and I was just like, I hate it here. And so I thought, okay, I can't fall asleep. I'm like, there's too many people around me. What can I do? And I go to my phone to see like what books I have downloaded, and a book I had downloaded that I've been meaning to read for a while is called The Summer I Died by Ryan C. Thomas.
Okay.
This is a book I've seen on like a bunch of lists of extreme horror lit and like really gross kind of slasher. Not really slasher. It's like torture porn. So basically, and so I thought, okay, I'll read this in the plane. I devoured it in the 4 hours I was on the plane, and the whole time I was like inadvertently gasping and grabbing my face while I was reading it on the plane. I tend to like just pick really weird shit to enjoy on planes, like Coffee Table. I watched that in an airport. The Summer I Died. Like, I think I just like to see, like, is it really that bad? Because if I'm reading it in public, like, it can't be that bad. Well, no. This one was pretty bad. So this book, it follows two best friends, Roger and Tooth. Tooth is a nickname. And it is the first summer after Rogers was in college. So he's home for the first time since going to college, and he's spending, it feels like his kind of his last kid summer with his best friend. And they live in a kind of rural area in New England. I think it's New Hampshire, but like in that, it's a rural area. And one day they decide to go shooting in the mountains, and while they're out there, they hear a woman screaming, and they decide to investigate, and they discover a serial killer's secluded hideaway house, and they are captured, and what ensues is the description of their like torture and mutilation for like 200 pages.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a Final Boy book. It's a Final Boy book, which is not a spoiler because it starts off with him saying like, it starts off with Roger as an adult narrating. So like, you know, he survived from the very beginning, so it is not a spoiler. But the ways in which they are tortured and how things unravel and kind of reveal themselves, it's pretty fucked up. The writing,
it sounds fucked up.
The writing is pretty basic and like easy to read. There's some stuff in here that I'm like not super sure about. Like there's a lot of weird use of racial slurs to like in a way that I don't necessarily feel was like necessary or effective. You know what I mean? Like There's points where the author Ryan C. Thomas, pardon me, Ryan C. Thomas is trying to kind of, I think, show, like, people are racists and shit in this town, but at the same time, it just is like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you read it and it gives you pause, where it's not like a huge part of the book, but like that detail kind of like sprinkled in a lot is. And this is from 2006, so I guess that kind of can color perception a little bit from when it was published. It's new-ish, but like 2006 new, so take that as you will. So it definitely reads like a 2006 novel in parts, as a warning to anyone who wants to read it and be like, excuse me, why? Yeah. So that's kind of like one of my biggest question marks about the book, just because, But,
yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like it really fits in that era of movies that we were also getting that were very like sometimes looking back on it in like hindsight.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those books that it's like you read it and it's just so much. What you imagine is probably so much worse than they could ever put on screen. It's just gnarly. It's just never ending. Like, just cruelty.
I see that they released like a updated complete version or something like that, or some kind of re-release in 2017, and they're calling it book 1 of the Roger Huntington saga.
Yeah, there's a second one, I think. Because Roger Huntington is the guy who survives.
Born to Bleed, Scars of the Broken. So there's at least 3.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. Full disclosure, haven't fully looked into those. Because, like, the whole book is basically, it starts out with him as an adult, as a narrator, and he's just, like, really fucked up after what happened his whole life, and he's like, everything's fucked up, and my brain's all fucked up, everything's terrible forever. And then he, like, recounts the story. And then I don't really know where you would...
It says 10 years since he suffered through the bloody events. Moved to California, where he now works as a painter and pines after his coworker, Victoria. Bland life, which is how he likes it. Just can't forget his past. He's about to discover his future may hold more terrifying events than anything he could possibly imagine.
I just read the first one. And that is typically on many a list of, like, extreme horror lit you should check out if you're looking for extreme horror lit. A lot of really graphic descriptions of violence towards both men and women and animals. Any bad thing you could think of happening to a person pretty much happens.
Gotcha. Wow.
It's light on sexual assault, which is good, ? There's not a lot of it in there, but there's some weird sex stuff, but there isn't, like, graphic sexual assault, at least, which is why I was like, okay, well, I was kind of waiting for it, and it's not really there. I was like, well, that's good, at least. There's one thing going on.
That's
there.
good.
So, I don't really know how to, like, explain if I liked it or not. I guess kind of, if you like extreme horror and really fucked up weird stuff, give it a read. And if that sounds like the worst thing imaginable, it is for you. So don't read it. I just promise you nothing but misery will come out of trying to read it. Don't read it on an airplane. Or do, but I was gasping and, like, grabbing my face reading it. I did read it very quickly. It's definitely a page turner.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's The Summer I Died. Okay. Yeah, Purpurina, it is weirdly refreshing for such subject matter, I will say. And it's, yeah. And all of, like, the graphic violence, there's some of it happens to women, but, like, a lot of it's on male bodies, which is interesting. So, there's some interesting stuff to pick out of it after the initial shock of reading some of the most graphic descriptions of death and torture I have read in, I think, ever. Probably going, like, to the other end of the spectrum.
Oh.
Hard left turn.
Hard turn.
Adult friendships
hard turn. They are hard. And this is a movie that is currently in theaters in some places, and I think it's expanding over the next week or so. It's Babes.
Oh,
have you heard of this?
Yes, I want to see this.
It's amazing. Co-written by Ilana Glazer and Josh Rabinowitz, who worked on Broad City together. has a lot of the Broad City-esque-ness to it, but it's a story of childhood best friends who are now adults. Eden, played by Ilana Glazer, and Dawn, played by Michelle Buteau, maybe. And they're friends. They live Buteau. Okay, thank you, Purpurina. Michelle Buteau, and they are friends that live in New York. Dawn has just like recently moved with her husband to Uptown, whereas Eden's been living in Astoria. They don't get to see each other as much. Dawn is pregnant with her second kid when the movie begins. But every Thanksgiving they meet up and go see a movie. And so it starts off at like Thanksgiving going to see a movie in a theater, catching up, and hilariously Dawn, who is very, very pregnant, is like there's this running gag while they're moving throughout the theater going, "Oh, this seat's wet. Oh, this seat's wet too. Oh, this seat's wet." Her water has broken and it's trickling out, and she's like, we're gonna we're good. I last time I was in labor for so long, let's go eat. And so they go to a fancy restaurant to go eat while her water is literally breaking, and it turns into like this sojourn of her literally crawling down the hospital hallway because she's not sure if she wants to be sitting in a wheelchair or not. And then it turns into this very it's a hilarious opening to this movie that is, yes, about pregnancy, but is more about how difficult it is to maintain friendships when Eden is single and her best friend is married with kids. And Eden that night ends up having a meet cute with some guy that she hilariously, this is one of the notes that I took down. She talks about how she's never been cummed inside Raleigh. She's on her period. He seems to be okay with it, so they have unprotected sex. And guess what? You can still get pregnant even if you're on your period. She ends up getting pregnant, and then we follow her journey as a single woman trying to have a kid. And it's a pregnancy thing, but it has that Broad City bent to it where it's more about the friendships between Dawn and Eden than it is about the pregnancy. Yes, that's a very big part of it, but most of it goes into like cringe comedy or like embarrassment comedy of like dealing with the embarrassments of having to deal with something growing inside of you. And so it's even though like I have no interest in ever being a father, no interest in any of this. Like, it seems like it would not be something that would interest me. It was very funny, very well done because the two characters have so much charisma. It reminded me of the friendships and with Abby and Ilana in Broad City. And it has that sort of mentality and sense of humor to it that just, it really, I was rolling on the floor laughing with this movie. It's very funny. I think it's out in theaters right now, and I highly recommend giving it a shot.
I've heard good things, and it looks fun. I want another cool, cute, funny girls buddy comedy, and this feels like the thing I've been craving. So I'm very excited to check it out.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, especially if you really like. I love Ilana Glazer.
Yeah.
I think she is really funny, and she is really good in this, and so is Michelle. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else, but she was really great in this. So
I feel like Alana Glazer, like she's not. I'm not saying she's not popular, but like I feel like this is her like first big like starring in a movie, like a featured film, and like obviously Broad City was super popular. That by no means am I saying that like she's underrated, but she's like in a different kind of like medium now of and like having a big feature film. It's cool to see her getting that too.
yeah, it really is. And well, I think wasn't she also in or co-wrote that horror movie that came out like a year or so ago, False Positive?
False Positive. I forgot about that. That Pierce Brosnan movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I never saw it.
I guess I count
but
this more as like a big film, like theatrical release type movie.
Theatrical release, not Mm-hmm.
No offense to False Positive. But...
2 movies about pregnancy though. Yeah. But that's Babes.
Okay.
Highly recommend. Very funny if you're looking for a good time. If going again wildly, let's talk about kaiju
Yeah,
anime.
we're definitely, as always, just swinging back and forth and back and forth. So there is a pretty new anime out. I think they have 4 or 5 episodes out now on Crunchyroll. Um, hold on. Let me just make sure. Why are there so many? Oh God, websites are terrible.
I know, they're so bad.
Oh, there's 6 episodes. Okay, anywho. Alright, so, Kaiju number 8 is a... It's got 6 episodes up now on Crunchyroll, but it's coming out every Saturday, and I'm super into it. It is about a man named Kafka who lives in a world where kaiju appearances are just, like, normal. They appear all the time. It's not Godzilla, but it's just like they're used to kaiju appearances, and as part of this society, there's like the Kaiju Defense Force, where people who are it's got that vibe of a lot of anime of like, oh, we live in a world where there's like a weird thing happening, there's a defense force that fights back against it, and this guy really wants to join it, can't, something crazy happens, and it kind of goes from there. And he's called Kaiju number 8. It's not a spoiler because it's like in all the advertisement. It's some like a strange kaiju forces itself into him, and he becomes a kaiju, but he can control it. So he can be human, but then also be kaiju, which means he can also beat the shit out of other monsters better than any human can. But he has to keep it a secret because if the government finds out that he is part kaiju, then he will be killed. And so as far as I've gotten, he is trying to figure this out, and it is one of these animes I really love because it kind of reminds me of Evangelion in that it is very serious and like really crazy bad shit happens, but it's also very silly at moments. It like has these moments of like levity to be like, this is also like a kind of parts of it feel like a slice of life anime, and these terrible monsters come out and eat people, and you're like, oh, this is actually really fucking upsetting. And I love when anime kind of like really commits to that tone. So I really like it because like Kafka's like a himbo, like he's really strong and good at what he does, but he's also like an idiot kind of, and it's very funny because he's 30 and he's like, I'm so old, I can't join the defense force after this, like I'm so old. And I'm like, the whole show they're just calling him an oldie, and I'm like, this sucks, like I don't need to be reminded of that. And it's really beautifully animated, and it's also real nasty because Kafka starts as a cleanup crew member. Because what I love about this is like they have the defense force come and save the day, and then he is part of the cleanup crew that is assigned to who scoops up what, and he one day gets assigned to the intestines, which is the worst part, and he absolutely hates it. So like we learn about like we get kind of like a nitty gritty look into like living in a world where these big monsters die and the roles people have to take. Like you wouldn't think about that. Like, oh yeah, like this is a whole like job market of people that are hired to clean up kaiju parts and dispose of them.
It's so funny that you say that, because like one of the ideas that's been in the back of my mind for years is like, what if there were kaiju and you had to have a cleanup crew, and what would that be like? Like it plays itself well for like almost like a sitcom you could almost see, where it's like
it plays into that a little bit sometimes, especially because like a new guy comes in and him and Kafka form like a really sweet little like relationship, and so it's the two of that, like him teaching the kid like how to clean properly and how to like protect yourself and what you need to wear so you don't like fully smell like kaiju shit for the rest of your life and things like that. I think it kind of gets away from that once he becomes more of like a kaiju fighter, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It looks at a world where it's like this is normal. And like the people that are in the Kaiju Defense Force are like huge heroes because of what they do to protect the country. So yeah, that is Kaiju number 8. It's a manga that you can read online if you're interested. There's 6 episodes currently out on Crunchyroll, both dubbed and subbed. I'm watching the dub, actually. I really like the dub. So, definitely either one, but I really like the dub. The guy who voices Kafka also did a voice in Hell's Paradise, which I've talked to on this show. So, There are like 5 voice actors working at any given moment, so they work on everything.
Heck
So
yeah.
yeah, if you're looking for a cool new weird horror adjacent anime, I would recommend that one.
Crunchyroll,
On
right?
Crunchyroll, yeah.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I actually need to catch up on it. And Dungeon Meshi is also, just as a side note, it continues to be very good.
Which one?
Dungeon
Sorry.
Meshi / Delicious in Dungeon.
Oh, okay. Delicious in Dungeon. Okay.
Yeah, it continues to be very good.
Has that wrapped up yet?
Not yet.
I want to watch it, but I was kind of waiting for all of the episodes to come out.
No, I don't think it's wrapped up yet. If it's either that or I'm just not caught up. But yeah. It's kind of related, but I don't really know. Best Metroidvania. Best Metroidvania game ever. Please tell me. I love a good Metroidvania.
Yeah, so this has been this is the year of Metroidvania games, it seems like, because this is the third kind of high profile one that's come out this year. The first one that I talked about on the show was the new Prince of Persia game. That one came out in like January and was fantastic as a Metroidvania game. There's another one coming out that looks it looks very weird and trippy, and I really want to play it. And then there's this one, which I didn't realize until literally just now, but it was published by Big Mode, which is Video Game Donkey. I don't know if you're familiar with him. It's his indie game publishing company. Have you ever heard of Video Game Donkey? He's this YouTuber. He's a YouTuber, and he makes very kind of funny videos of. I'll have to send you one that's on the FromSoft games, because he does like the Dark Souls one, and he's dumb, but he's funny. And he created a publishing company called Big Mode with his, I believe, wife, either wife or girlfriend, I think wife. And this was the first game released by it. And what a first game. This is Animal Well. I posted a GIF of it on Twitter.
Yes, I was like, there's a little capybara just hanging out. And a creepy little cat.
So this game... This game you play as a little, I don't know what he is, a furball, a little blobby thing that gets birthed out of a plant, and you just start playing as him, and you don't really know what you're doing. You're dropped in this world without any context for what's happening. And because it's a Metroidvania game, which for those who are not aware, it's one of those games where it's all about exploration. There's a big map that you start to uncover, and you start to get new skills that allow you to access different areas of the map and go back to areas you've been through and find different new paths. This game follows that structure where you are this little blobby dude who ends up picking up weird items like a yo-yo that you use to do stuff, or a frisbee that you will use to do variety of things. And there's no real combat in it. It's all about exploration. That said, you can die because these giant animals will hunt you down, and so there's different ways of like trying to get around them or running from them, but there's no actual combat, which is unique for this type of game. And what I love about this is that it sort of takes the idea of a Metroidvania game and blows it up in ways that I don't want to really share, because it's a very surprising game. It's very there's a lot of things going on, and when it's over, it's not over. I have spent many hours past the end of this game trying to figure out all the little nooks and crannies, and still getting new items that help unlock new areas. It's wild. This game is wild to me. One thing that I will give you is that like one of the things about Metroidvania games is you get a new ability usually, and that will help you traverse the world. Here, some of those things have different uses that you start to learn to do just by messing around. So for instance, the frisbee, you find out that you use it usually to like hit switches that are far away, and you can open up paths, right? Well, then you've discovered that if you throw it and there's a dog that's chasing you, the dog will get it and start shaking it. And then you realize that because it bounces off things and doesn't go away, that you can jump on it and you can use it to help carry you places. So this one item that in Metrovania games would generally be used for one type of exploration thing can be used in multiple ways. And so some of the fun of the game is figuring out, okay, here's the puzzle, here are the items that I have, how do I make this work? And it's so smart, so well done, and such a beautiful game. I was blown away with this game. It's out on Switch, PlayStation 5, and Windows. I
It's
think it
on
is.
Switch. Sorry.
Yes. I think it's if you're a PlayStation Plus member, I believe it's one of the PlayStation Plus games. I played it on my Steam Deck, and it's a great. I think this is a great handheld game, and I highly recommend playing it, specifically if you like this type of game. It's unlike any other Metrovania game I've ever played, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's one of the best games, period, that I've played in a long time. This is just it's perfection.
I'm signing into Nintendo now to buy it. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
I hope
gonna-
you enjoy it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so cute too. I love the
Like,
animation style of
saw
it.
the GIF you posted, and I was just watching the trailer with no sound on while you were talking, and I was like, oh, this is really cute. Like, I love the style and like what
It's
everything is.
it's fantastic. I will say there's one part towards the end that was really a little frustrating. It's because again, you don't fight the animals, and there's a chase sequence towards the end
Oh,
that
okay.
was really intense. But I will say that this game is perfect. This game is a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend it. Animal Well, go check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. All right. Swinging wildly again. He needs a kidney. Let's talk about these 3 episodes of 30 Rock that end season 3 with a song and dance.
Yeah, it really does. And it's one of those finales that only could happen in this era of television with like a million massive cameos. But getting ahead of myself.
So many
Getting ahead
cameos.
of myself here and talking about, because we watched 320 the episodes, season 3 episodes 20, 21, and 22. So we watched all 3 leading up to the end, which is I think a good move, just to
Because they're all
yeah, they
connected.
are.
I don't because like the episode that I really wanted to show is Kidney Now, the finale, but it's like you really need the previous 2 to like
really understand what's going on, because the first so in
Mhm.
320 it's where Jack's mom's in town and Liz has the incredible line of, there's a hostess at a restaurant in Midtown that I'd like to see cry, and she is here with a lover, and it's also the anniversary of when Jack's dad left, which we then learn that she does not remember, and he very much does, and is very traumatized by it and very sad. But she's in town with a lover, and he is very frustrated, and he is just a very frustrated Irish white man who doesn't know what to do with his emotions. Which, it's always sad. See it so much in my own life. It's hard to watch. But this is also where they overcorrected for Tracy in terms of getting him to show up on time, and they all just really
Okay.
fucked with his, like, they were like, I called him.
What time
He
is
comes
it?
in, he's like, I took my kid to his cello recital tomorrow at midnight. What fucking time is it? And they're like, he's like, you're not treating me right, and pulls a literal race card out to give her, and is like, you're infantilizing me. And it's just so fucking funny to watch this like battle of minds be like, I will not give up, because he comes in fully prepared the next day, fully professional, but then says, all right, but women can't be have to be treated equally to men, so Liz Lemon, you have to change the water cooler, and you have to smell everyone's farts, and you have to come to a strip club for a fake bachelor party for a guy who will never get married, and he just wants to have a fake bachelor party because it's sad. And I was like, that is what it's like working with men. Thankfully, I don't have to smell anyone's farts.
Uh-huh.
Thankfully. And
one of the benefits of being remote,
yes,
right?
I was dying just like at equality, and him going, I feel so parched from being so professional. He has like a sweater on, but like with a chain with the TJ and his glasses. I also really, really, this is going back to something Jack Donaghy says, is I can't, and I once made love to Kathy Hilton, which cracks me up because she is now on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And she is the fucking worst because of like all the stuff that came out about how she, like what she did to her kids, and like she's just, you know, she's a rich person, and so she just sucks. And so just having that be said in a 30 Rock episode was just, it tickled me. It tickled me in a way that only this kind of reference can. What else?
Also, I realized that this was, I think, the very first episode that I've showed you that Elaine Stritch is in as Jack's mom, and she is utter delight.
She's incredible. They made a lot of jokes about eating dinner at 4:30, which, you know, tickles me. You know, old people eating early jokes, late dinner at 6 p.m., you know, all that good stuff. We see Steve Buscemi here as as a photographer / my private detective who also is taking photography classes and rides bikes. And, you know, he's telling Jack, we all have something to hide. And he goes, I'm wearing a child's Halloween costume underneath my clothes. And it's just like... It's like one of these shows where it's like, it feels like we are in like a very slightly different version of reality than like...
Yep.
Like, not as much as Parks and Rec, but like definitely like a tilted version of like, fascinating. And then my favorite line is, so with all of this, Tracy has been replaced by a Gibbon that Jenna has become very attached to. And the Gibbon and her have formed a beautiful relationship where they share clothes. And Kenneth keeps telling her it's not natural for humans to have relationships like this with monkeys. And at one point he goes, my pig and I got so close he bit off my nutsack that I carried to feed the squirrels. And I almost shit my pants. I was like...
The way in which
so funny.
30 Rock the way in which 30 Rock will get away with saying something very inappropriate by like having just a pregnant pause in between the statement and then the truth just kills me every single time, because this is a trend that continues throughout where like they will say something and it's like and then it's like we're gonna course correct, but we're gonna say that inappropriate joke, and we're gonna get away with it with the censors because we're not actually saying that joke. And so I love it, and I love that moment.
It's just so fucking funny. I went back. I was like, oh,
bit off my nutsack
that I used to feed the nuts to the squirrels. And it's just like, yeah. And then of course, when Jenna appears in a little matching sailor outfit, the Gibbon does attack her face and is trying to mate with her face. So,
yep.
And at the end, Tracy does concede he hates being professional and does not want to be professional anymore. Me too. Big same. And we end with Jack realizing that his father who left is not actually his father, because his mom was talking about the timeline of his dad coming and going. And because he sees Some Like It Hot on TV... classic, even though well, whatever. Anywho, we all know the issues with that movie. He realizes, oh my god, this is not my dad, which leads into the next episode, which is fucking hysterical.
My favorite part about that though is that Liz Lemon is talking about watching Some Like It Hot. You know, people at that time were so unevolved, basically, like, you know, unable, so like they'll just believe any kind of plot twist that gets thrown at them. And he's like, wait a minute, Jimmy Donaghy's not my dad. Twist.
I love when she says one word and she's like, twist. I love it. I love it so much. But then we have the incredible idea into the next episode, which is It's a Mamma Mia, where Dr. Spaceman... Is it Dr. Spaceman? Oh, no. It's...
yeah.
No, it's Steve Buscemi's character. Like, it's the DNA test, but it's only three. They can only narrow it down to 3 people. And they were like, we're going to invite them all here, like, for a tour. And Mamma Mia.
It's a Mamma Mia.
It's a Mamma Mia. And she's like muttering to herself. And I'm like, Liz Lemon is me. Like, me muttering to myself. And at at the beginning of this,
Don't force it,
yeah,
Liz.
at the beginning of this also, Liz has written like that's a deal breaker, ladies, has written like this iconic line that is getting like quoted everywhere, and Jenna's like, everyone's saying it's Jenna's big break when Liz is like, I wrote it, and I wrote "Kill me please, run me over with a truck," because I can, and so this is her kind of trying to take control and like be in the spotlight for a bit and be like, look, I wrote something funny, like this was me, it's not just Jenna, which I respect. Like, I know this is a comedy show, but I respect like a woman trying to be like, hey, I actually did this, like, give me some credit.
Yeah, give me credit.
So this episode kind of follows that as she tries to come into her own as like someone in the spotlight rather than a woman who's behind the scenes. Which is again incredibly relevant to me as a person. Anyway, once again, this fucking show.
That's why we need to pay writers also.
Please. I beg of you. Please pay our writers.
Is that your mouse?
Yeah, I love to use my mouse as a microphone, even though I'm using a microphone because my mic is plugged in. I don't want to move it and fuck up the wire, so I just use my mic. I do it all the time. I don't think anyone gets it, but me. But it makes me laugh. So
it's great.
But so we have the Mamma Mia happening. We have Liz trying to get her own, and then also finding out that Tracy might be getting scammed by someone saying it's his son. And he says my favorite line, I may hug people too hard and get lost in malls, but I'm not stupid.
Tracy.
I just love his lines so much. And I didn't write a lot of notes for this one. I think because, I don't remember why, but I love, we meet three guys, and it's like a Korean man. Obviously, a Korean man is not his dad. Another man who announces that his genitals were blown clean off in World War II. And then Alan Alda walks in, and Alan Alda is so hot. I'm sorry, but he is like, beautiful voice. He's so attractive. He passed away recently, didn't he? I believe he did pass away recently.
Did he?
Oh, no, he didn't.
No, he's still. Looks like he's still.
I'm spreading misinformation. Oh, think of Alan Arkin. I think of Alan Arkin.
Oh
no. Yeah, he died in 2023. I'm terrible. I get Alan Arkin and Alan Alda mixed up all the time. And I know, like, they don't look anything alike, but it's the Alan A name. I don't know why. Ever since Little Miss
Alan
Sunshine.
A. Old white guys.
Fucked me up. Yes, Alan Alda walks in and is essentially, I mean, we haven't done any genetics tests to prove further than what we've already done, but it's pretty conclusive that Alan Alda is, in fact, Jack Donaghy's father. And he said, oh yeah, I met her one night and we didn't do anything, and then a couple of weeks later we got drunk and had sex, and I was like, nice, love that. And then we also, this is where we find out that, oh my god, I'm so glad to meet you, I need a kidney.
Yes, that's how it ends.
I'm just like, what do you even do in that scenario? You know? Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's nuts.
Like,
I know.
It is.
Yes, I understand that, like, it's a show. But also, like, I think that's probably happened to some people for real. Like, that's crazy pants.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, and then we also find out that Tracy's a sugar daddy? I wrote sugar daddy, because we find out that he knows that this guy is 40, that this guy is not his son, but, like, he's helping. It's actually very sweet. Tracy's been helping this guy, like, open a community center and a dojo, and the guy comes in and he goes, Daddy, you want to go visit the Tracy Jordan Center for, like, Black Kids Karate or something? It was, like, something very sweet. And they were like, and then Ira just wrote down, oh my god, he's a sugar daddy, but, like, for charity. And I love this fucking stupid show so much. Like, what the fuck? And that's when Tracy goes, I may hug too hard and get lost in malls, but I'm not dumb. And it's like, because that's the whole episode. He's like giving the guy blank checks. It seems like the guy's like on a like, sucking a lollipop, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it's just Tracy being a sugar daddy for good, I guess, is kind of how I would describe what happens in that episode.
Community outreach.
That's mutual aid. That's what. You know what though? That is actually what celebrities used to be doing with their money.
I agree.
Like it's funny and sweet, but like honestly. Are they wrong? Because I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Maybe not call him daddy all the time.
No.
Which
no.
It's like a running joke throughout. Like he shows up later and he is still calling him daddy, and it's so funny to see this like 40-year-old calling.
Funny. And then we move on to the final episode. Kidney Now, which is the kidney benefit concert that is put on for Alan Alda, aka Milton Green. Because Jack discovers via Dr. Spichemin, our favorite, absolutely incompetent doctor, that well, not really. We find out the words, and then we also find out, we decode it from what he says. It's like it's written in Greek. But he is not a match to give his father a kidney, but he feels obligated to give him a kidney and calls in every single favor he can to get celebs to sing in a benefit concert to save Milton Green's kidney, or to get Milton Green a new kidney. And meanwhile, Liz has discovered a new era after going on a, was it Vontella? Is that what it's called?
Vontella.
Which is basically like a Maury spinoff. And she goes on there to give, with Jenna, to give relationship advice. And then she just gets like, she just starts talking nonsense. Like, that's a deal breaker, ladies, and giving relationship advice. And
S that D. Shut it down.
And all these women are like, hell yeah. But men don't like it. Shocking. She does say at one point that bisexual is a fake term made up to sell hair products. Yeah. And I did say the bisexual take is rude. It is. I'm just gonna say it. It's rude.
Nope. That was that time though.
Oh,
like,
I know.
That's one of the things. That is one of the things that's like does not age well, is because that was at the time where like people were making jokes about bisexual. It was not a thing.
Yeah.
And like, so it's one of those things that's like, now it's like, ooh, that's not great. But I do love that, like, at all of the people that like, she's like, oh, it's not going to work. You have fruit blindness, which is one of my favorite lines about this kind of frumpy looking woman who is next to this very tall, very handsome man who is obviously gay. And she's like, you're suffering from fruit blindness. But then it's like two men that she's like, you know what? I think you're gonna make it. Like, I love that it's sort of like the end of it. It's like all these other weird situations, but these two men, you're gonna make it. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. What else I'm trying to. Okay, yeah, my daddy issues really got me with this one, which is embarrassing. But that's fine. At one point, I can't remember the context of which he says this, so you have to help me. I have a wolf dog, 2 bad knees, and a gun that I lost. It's just iconic. It's iconic. And that's Tracy saying it. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know, like, incredible.
Who knows?
But I did have a very sad laugh because at one point, you know, Milton Green is talking to Jack, and I was like, I'm so, like, you don't have to give me the kidney. That wasn't fair of me to spring it on you. And Jack goes, oh, so be like a Donaghy. Like, no big emotions don't happen until somewhere inappropriate, like a barbecue or an elementary school graduation. And I wrote Donaghy equals McAndrews, because, like, that is my family to a T.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Mine too, to be perfectly honest.
Incredibly Irish Catholic family on my dad's side. And, like, the only times things are ever addressed are at family gatherings for holidays. Like, one time, like, fun side anecdote, my uncle called my aunt a cunt on Christmas, like, in front of all the kids.
That was the wrong time for me to take a drink from my liquid death. Wrong time. Oh my god. I almost spit that all over my monitor. Wow. Of all the things, like, I knew you were going to tell a weird story, but I was not expecting that. I was not expecting the C word to come out. Wow.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'd be working with my dad's side of the family. And that was like when I was like middle school.
Wow.
Anyway, so yeah, Irish Catholic families really do be like, it's funny because it's true. Like, the reason that line is so fucking funny is because it's exactly what happens. One time, my dad got into a fight with his brother at my fucking high school graduation party. So yeah, it's pretty accurate in a sad sort of way. Because, like, I don't know. I've said this a million times, but like watching a show, I just like not Alec Baldwin, Jack Donaghy's character as a character is much sadder, and I think they give him more depth than I kind of had anticipated in terms of like being abandoned, having abandonment issues, like wanting to be loved by his family, wanting his mom to love him, just wanting to feel loved. And at one point, like, Alan Alda goes, "We're having a catch," and they're playing catch, and I go, "Why am I emotional?" #daddy issues is literally in my notes.
Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I also wanted to show, because you had mentioned earlier that like you were surprised at some of the depth with Jack, and I was like, okay, these 3 episodes really dig into kind of why he is the way he is.
And I like that. I mean, again, like, we don't need he's technically a figurehead of capitalist hellscape and like everything wrong with entertainment.
Yes. And he's Republican.
Terrible. And it's like questionable in the first place of making me like him as a character, but like I laughed. That's a terrible thing for me as a culture critic to say, but it is very interesting how much they do want you to sympathize with that character. It's like not exactly Ron Swanson, but kind of, because Ron Swanson's a libertarian and like has kind of that similar vibe of being a curmudgeon, but having some emotional depth you find out about. But also you're like, why are you trying to make me like this person who like is arguably going to always probably be a shithead to me in real life? But that sounds like I can't have fun when I say that. But
he plays a good foil. Like he plays a very good foil to Liz Lemon, and that's what I think I appreciate.
And I do think that like they strike a balance of also being like, no, he's like a Republican capitalist dickhead. So I don't know. I know I'm also only getting like a slice of the show technically, even though I'm watching more. I did go into I stopped season 4, but I kept watching. I was like, oh shit, I should stop watching before we like keep going, because I wasn't sure. Anyway, they where am I?
The main piece of this episode though, and in this season of like great cameos, we get Clay Aiken, Sarah Bareilles, the Beastie Boys, Mary J. Blige, Elvis Costello, Sheryl Crow, Steve Earle, Wyclef Jean, Norah Jones, Talib Kweli, Cyndi Lauper, Adam Levine, Michael McDonald, Rhett Miller, Moby. Like,
I'm one of the drunk ones.
Just Cyndi Lauper is so funny in this, who perform basically like a heal the world type song. He needs a kidney. Yes. And we get a rendition of all of them singing together about how everyone needs to come together. There are 6 million kidneys or something like that in the world, and they only just need one. And we have Adam Levine saying like, it's just like if I had $2, I'd give you one, right?
It's so good. One man, one song, one kidney. I wrote, I'm going to this tattooed on my person. At one point, Jack Donaghy does say Rainstorm Katrina, which I was like, oh my god, you just fucking slipped that in there like nobody's fucking business. I was dying.
Yep.
Yep. I can't tell if this is happiness or osteoporosis, which I truly think is hysterical. And also important piece of lore, Clay Aiken is Kenneth's cousin.
Yep.
The more you know. But they have an incredibly successful
you know.
concert. And Lemon goes, wow, what a year we've had. And Jack goes, what are you talking about? It's May. And I was like,
It's May.
yeah, that's also very identifiable.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So very, very good end. Very, very much loved these 3 episodes. Very much enjoyed watching them. I had a long day today, so they made me giggle when I was like, this day needs to be over.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to Jeff Richmond, Tina Fey's husband,
That's
who writes all the music and wrote He Needs a Kidney. Like, this man is so great at writing songs that are just
really
absolutely ridiculous.
Quite impressive, actually, to be honest. But
what a power couple, honestly.
I know. It's almost too much talent. But yes, I'm very excited to move on to the next season.
Yes.
So yes.
And I'm glad you didn't continue onward, because we are starting season 4 with the first 2 episodes of season 4. Episode 1 called season 4, and then Into the Crevasse, which, if I remember correctly, has one of the most memeable moments from 30 Rock in it. So
cool. Okay. Exciting.
That's where we're going next week. But okay, Mary Beth, who did we talk to for Monday's episode?
So on Monday, we are chatting with the co-writers and co-directors of Tarot, Spencer Cohen and Anna Hallberg. No haters. We didn't think Tarot was that bad. Sorry.
No. I thought it was fun.
So, we had them on to briefly revisit and discuss Jaws. We talked about it before previously, but we haven't talked about it in a while, so we got to kind of dig into...
Episode 2.
That's right, it was episode
2. No, 3. 3. Episode 3. 1 was us, 2 was Rob Grant, 3 was Jaws.
Oh, that's right. And I didn't choose Jaws for mine. I chose Poltergeist, didn't I?
Yep.
Jesus, time is fake. But yeah, so we are discussing Jaws again this Monday with the co-writers and co-directors of Tarot. So get excited for that one.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you read anything, watch anything, play anything that we talked about this week? And have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for things we should be covering for 30 Rock episodes that I should be watching? Good Lord. Love to glitch out. Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on the social media. I am at mbmcandrews on Twitter and at mb.mcandrews on Instagram.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And of course, you better be following the podcast on social media. We are at Scarred Podcast on Twitter and Blue Sky, and then at Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. It has been a moment since we've had a rating and a review, so it'd be really nice to get some more. And don't forget to support us through Patreon if you want to help.
Yes. Thank you, Derek Power, for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time, he needs a kidney.
He needs a kidney.